One issue that must be addressed is the price of cocoa on the international market and subsequently on the domestic market. Many people are alarmed that the depreciation of the dollar will cause a decrease in the price of cocoa on the international market and subsequently on the domestic market. But the Ghana Cocoa Board uses a stabilization fund that adjusts for exchange rate fluctuations when the exchange rate um, increases or decreases. So the stabilization fund adjusts for exchange rate fluctuations. Then global cocoa price volatility, domestic cost pressures like the cost of fertilizer, the cost of transportation, inflation, and others. So there is no cause for alarm if the dollar depreciates because the Ghana Cocoa Board uses a stabilization fund that adjusts for exchange rate fluctuations, global cocoa price volatility, and domestic cost pressures like the cost of fertilizer, the cost of transportation, and inflation. Besides besides the stabilization fund being used by the Ghana Cocoa Board, the depreciation of the US dollar will rather increase the international price of cocoa, or it will increase the price of cocoa on the international market. The reason is that cocoa, like most commodities, gold, oil, coffee, is priced in US dollar or USD. So if the dollar weakens, the purchasing power of other currencies will increase. The purchasing power of other foreign currencies increases, there will be a high demand for cocoa. And as there is a high demand for cocoa on the international market, the price of cocoa on the international market will increase. Cocoa will become cheaper in other foreign currencies when the dollar weakens. So if the US dollar weakens, the value of other foreign currencies will be strong or will be stronger than the value of the dollar. So cocoa will become cheaper in those foreign currencies, and this will push the price of cocoa on the international market because demand will increase. So buyers of cocoa from Europe, Asia, and other places will find cocoa to be more affordable once their currencies are now stronger than the US dollar and cocoa is priced in US dollar. They will now have more purchasing power, stronger currencies to demand for more tons of cocoa. So the demand for cocoa will increase and subsequently its price will equally increase. This will increase demand for cocoa on the international market. Higher demand for cocoa tends to push up the USD price of cocoa. So as the demand for cocoa increases, the USD price of cocoa also increase. So the international price of cocoa will also increase, or the price of cocoa on the international market will increase. So that is why recently the price of cocoa is increasing. It means demand is increasing, and once demand is increasing, the price of cocoa will have to increase. Then another point that we have to look at is that investors usually move their money into other commodities like cocoa, gold, and others to hedge against currency risks when the dollar weakens. So if the dollar weakens, investors will have to move their funds or money into other commodities so that they will hedge against losing their investments. They will hedge against currency risks. So if that happens, if they move their funds into the buying of cocoa, it will also push up the price of cocoa on the international market. Investors will definitely move their funds into the buying of other commodities like gold or cocoa when the dollar weakens, because if they don't do that, they risk losing their wealth, they risk losing their investments. So they will quickly move their money or their funds into the buying of cocoa or gold. So that is why the price of gold and cocoa are now high on the international market. If investors move their funds or money into the buying of cocoa, the price of cocoa on the international market will increase because demand for cocoa will increase. If this happens, the international market for cocoa will increase. So that's another angle we have to look at when we are discussing the price of cocoa on the international market. So it means cocoa exporting countries like Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire may not lose that much because the loss they will incur because of the depreciation of the dollar should be offset by the gains they will make because of an increase in the price of cocoa on the international market. So if the price of cocoa is increasing on the international market, that should be able to offset the loss in value of the US dollar or the loss in foreign exchange. The foreign income that would have been lost due to the depreciation of the dollar should be offset by an increase in the price of cocoa on the international market. So there shouldn't be any problem. There shouldn't be any cause for alarm because these countries should be able to sell more tons of cocoa at a higher price